vpod.ai, your source for information. This podcast is sponsored by Stonefly, your trusted solution provider and advisor in enterprise storage, backup, disaster recovery, hyperconverged, and VMware, Hyper-V, Proxmox clusters, AI servers, as well as public and private cloud. Check out stonefly.com or email your project requirements to sales@stonefly.com. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into something I found fascinating. It's about professional language and how tiny, tiny word choices can seriously impact your credibility.
Yeah, it's subtle stuff.
Totally. Especially in, say, sales or really any professional setting. We're going to look at some phrases that seem fine, maybe even harmless, but actually might be undermining you, and crucially, what you can say instead.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is how these everyday phrases, they just quietly signal things like maybe low confidence or perhaps a lack of ownership, even though you're not quite ready for a leadership role.
Right. People might not consciously pick up on it.
No, they probably won't call you out, but subconsciously, they might just stop taking you quite as seriously. So our goal today is pretty straightforward. Highlight these, let's call them linguistic traps, and give you some solid alternatives, ones that make you sound competent and, well, in control.
Okay, let's unpack that. So the basic idea here is that your language is your posture in a professional interaction. Think about top sales reps, for example. They always manage to sound in control, right? Even when they don't immediately have the answer.
That's a really key point. And it begs the question, how can just changing a few words make such a difference? It really boils down to perception.
Perception.
Yeah. When your language sounds deferential or like you're deflecting responsibility, you're essentially giving away your power in that interaction. The idea is to own the moment, own the conversation through the words you choose.
Got it. Okay, let's dive into some specific examples from the material we looked at. Here's one I bet people use a lot. I'm just a messenger, trying to sound neutral.
Right, like you're just passing along info.
Yeah.
But it screams, I'm not invested, or even, I don't really stand behind this. It detaches you completely.
So what's the alternative?
Well, the material suggests something much more proactive, like, here's what I know so far, and I'll fill the gaps.
Ah, okay, see, that immediately sounds different, more active.
Exactly. It shows you're taking command of the situation. Yeah. You're committing to getting the full picture. You're an active participant, not just some passive conduit for information.
That makes sense. Okay, here's another really common one. I don't know, let me check. I mean, honesty is good, isn't it?
Honesty is definitely good, yes. But that phrasing, it can sound hesitant. It kind of breaks the momentum, creates this little pocket of uncertainty.
So the better way.
Try this. Great question. I'll confirm and circle back. See the shift.
Yeah, it feels smoother. Less like a dead end.
Precisely. It moves from uncertainty to a proactive commitment. You acknowledge the question, you take ownership of finding the answer, and you promise follow-through. It just sounds more efficient, more reliable.
Okay. Now, what about those times when something genuinely isn't your direct responsibility? You hear people say, that's not my job, or maybe that's handled by a different team.
Ooh, that's a big one. Saying that's not my job is like putting up a big wall. It's basically saying, not my problem.
Right. Not very helpful.
Not at all. It instantly tanks your credibility as someone helpful. Instead, the material suggests things like, let me see how I can help or find the right person.
Okay, that's better.
Or even stronger, I'll own this and loop in the right person. Now that shows leadership.
I'll own this. That's the key phrase there.
Absolutely. It connects to that bigger picture, demonstrating accountability, being a problem solver. Even if the task itself falls to someone else, it builds huge trust. Yeah. You become a resource, not a roadblock.
These really are small shifts, but you can immediately feel the difference in impact. It keeps coming back to sounding in control, taking ownership.
Even when you genuinely don't have the answer right that second, or it's not technically your task, it's about how you handle the uncertainty.
What about when you're, say, making a suggestion? I think we should, or maybe we could, a lot. Seems polite.
It does seem polite, and often that's the intention, to avoid sounding too pushy. But, well, that kind of tentative language, it can signal you lack conviction in your own idea.
Like you're inviting people to doubt it from the start?
Kind of, yeah. You're hedging. The sources really push for more direct, more assertive phrasing, like, I recommend we, or let's proceed by.
So less maybe, more here's the plan.
Exactly. It shows you've thought it through, you have confidence in your recommendation, it positions you as decisive, as someone with expertise worth listening to. owning it.
It's becoming really clear how these small language tweaks aren't just about sounding good, they're about fundamentally shifting how you're perceived. Control, ownership, confidence.
Absolutely. And if you think bigger picture, our communication, it's doing so much more than just passing along facts, right? It's actively shaping how people see us. It's building or eroding trust. It's signaling if we're ready for maybe that next step or bigger responsibilities. It's deep psychological stuff, really.
So, wrapping this up, what does this really mean for you listening right now? Paying attention to these phrases, it's not just about surface level polish. It's about projecting real confidence, competence, and showing you've got leadership potential. And here's a final thought to leave you with. Take a moment to think about your own interactions, maybe today or yesterday. Which of these, let's call them rookie phrases, have you heard? Maybe even used yourself. And more importantly, think about what swapping in one of the more empowered alternatives might convey about your reliability and your leadership qualities next time. VIPod.ai, your source for information. This podcast is sponsored by Stonefly, your trusted solution provider and advisor in enterprise storage, backup, disaster recovery, hyper-converged, and VMware, Hyper-V, Proxmox clusters, AI servers, as well as public and private cloud. Check out stonefly.com or email your project requirements to sales@stonefly.com.